it is Vibrant Scrappy Mania, and today I got to make a card, and I want to use this Heartfelt Creation Sunrise Lily Bouquet stamp. This stamp comes with a hat, with some flowers, and a vase, and I thought that will look excellent for a card that I'm making to get well. So I'm going to use my stamping platform to create this card and some watercolor. I am going to use this hot press watercolor paper because I think this will work very well because I'm going to use watercolor. And then I'm going to go ahead and place that on my platform. And sometimes I just simply use tape instead of my magnets if I want a good impressions, because I feel like I can really press down without the magnet, you know, making a barrier for me. I'm going to switch it over to rubber. So this stamping tool by Tim Holtz has a rubber side and a clear side. The clear side is for your acrylic, the rubber side is for your rubber stamps. I'm going to cut this out in my Scan and Cut. So I'm going to go ahead and put that there. So I'm not going to be too worried about this, and I'm going to put that here so I can get two for the price of one. Okay. And I'm going to stamp, use my, this is Memento ink, which is perfect for watercolor. At least for me it works very well. But I am going to go over with some embossing powder and my Versamark because I want to make sure that I have a raised edge so my watercolor will not bleed outside of my lines. And I think I need a little more on here, so I usually will stamp it twice. So I'm sorry that I'm shaking the camera. My camera's on a platform overhead, which is connected to my table down here. So when I hit it, there's a pole right here that holds the arm for my camera. This thing hits the pole and it moves my camera. So I apologize for any movement. So I have that there. Now the next thing I want to do is I'm going to clean my Memento ink off of my stamp before I go with my Versamark. Versamark is a very sticky ink, and it really will grab onto your embossing powder, and it takes longer to dry, so you have time to get your embossing powder adhere to this. And I should have just gone with some powder. There is this embossing buddy, which you put talc on your cardstock so that way the oils of your hands does not transfer to the cardstock, which then will make the embossing powder adhere to, and you get those blotches. But it's okay. Since I'm going to cut this out anyhow with my Scan and Cut, I'm not too worried about getting extra strays around my card, because this is going to be cut with my Scan and Cut. Now if you buy these stamps, they do come with a die. I did not buy the die because of course I have my Scan and Cut. So for me, I just usually use my Scan and Cut instead of buying dies. That's what I told my husband. That's why he bought it for me. So if I start buying dies and stamps and the Scan and Cut, I don't think he'll be that happy. So I usually just buy the stamp and use my Scan and Cut to cut out my images. So see all these strays? So if I would have used that embossing, that powder before I stamped it, I would have prevented that. But if you forget like I do, just take a paintbrush and get rid of those extra stragglers from your paper before you emboss it. So there you go. The reason I like to stamp first with the color ink that I'm using for my embossing powder. So if I'm using black embossing powder, I'll stamp my image with black ink first. If I'm using red embossing powder, I'll use an ink that is close to my embossing powder. And that's because sometimes the ink may not, the embossing powder may not cover the whole thing. So then when you are not using the same color ink, you can see those imperfections. So now it's nice and dry, so I'm going to go ahead and watercolor this before I run it through the scan and cut. So I'm using some watercolors here from a set that I purchased some time ago for my daughter. And there were some leftovers on the tube, so instead of throwing away the tube after I'd made her palette, I went ahead and squeezed those tubes in here, and it worked out really nice for me. So she has a nice palette, and I created my own palette using these watercolor, and a little goes a long way with these. So notice I went off the line because I'm using watercolors paper. I can really scrunch and then pick it up. So you just take some clear water. It's harder to pick up darker color, but when you use lighter color, you can easily just grab, scrub it, and then use a paper towel to clean it up, and see it worked. So I want to just drop some color on some of the areas like that. Just give it a nice texture. And then I'm going to, that piece there, I'm going to cut it out with my scan and cut because I'm going to insert this inside of that. And then here I'm going to go ahead and use some green. For the leaves here. And I'm going to use some red. I really like red. And I'm just putting a wash first. So you can see me doing here. Just putting a wash of my red watercolor. Then, to give it a little shading, I'll come back and just drop some more red at the bottom of these flowers. Dry my brush and then just pick up the excess to blend it. And I really like how that looks right here. That one, it's really nice. So I'll go ahead and try to do more of that in my other ones. And then right here. That really works nicely. And if I want to blend this, see that's a harsh line, just take some more water and just scrub it. And that blends it. Okay, for my leaves here, it only has one color, so I'm going to go in with a darker color and just drop it in, kind of at the edges like that. Drop that in. Okay, so now I'm going to dry that, and then I'm going to take it to the scan and cut it out, and I shall be back. Okay, so it cut it out perfectly. So now, look how perfect that works, like so. So I'm going to go ahead and tape it in the back. Tape this right here. That is perfect. So now I created a nice little vase, and I can put that right here on this card, or should I put it on this card? Let me see which one I like best. I think I like this one best. Oops, and I need to cut it a little better. These card comes out from this set here, so it has a perforation that you have to cut, and I didn't cut it right. Okay, so I think I like that here, right there. And then I need to have a saying. I think I want to use this saying for get well. So let me look and see. I like that right there. And let me go ahead and look and see. I think I may use vellum. I think I'm going to use some vellum. Put a vellum with some brads or just some adhesive. And it's going to say get well. So that way they can see the card. I mean, they can see the vase and the get well. So let me go ahead and get a piece of vellum. Okay, I hate here, and I cheat. I don't buy vellum. Sometimes I just buy tracing paper. It's more economical than vellum. And I think I like this saying that says, hope you're feeling better. This is by May made it, and the name of the stamp is called Healer. And I'm going to use hope you're feeling better, get well wishes. I might do the front, get well wishes, and then hope you're feeling better in the inside. So let me go ahead and get my Tim Holtz stamping tool. I'm going to place this down. Some magnets. And go ahead and place this right here so I have enough space to cut it down. And I'm going to use clear because I'm using a clear stamp. I'm going to first see, I don't like that it moves. That's the sometimes I like to tape it down. So let me just tape it down because I do not like for my paper to move whatsoever. Tape it down, and then I'll put some magnets. But especially with thin paper, it'll move, and I do not like it to move. Now let's go ahead. Stamp it down. It's really faint. I want it very dark. Stamp it again. And I'm going to do the trick that I always do. I'm going to use some Versa ink. This is very sticky ink. I'm going to stamp it down with Versa ink. Then gotta be careful. I don't want to destroy this too much. It's already started tearing. I'm going to use that black embossing ink. Let's put a little bit on here. I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss that, and I'll be back. Okay, so I embossed it. Now let's carefully cut it because I already ripped it a little bit. So I gotta be careful. That's the only thing with tracing paper. It's more economical, but you really have to be careful. It's very delicate. So I cut it down. Okay. And I think I want to cut it down a little more. Hopefully I do not mess this up. Okay, that's good enough. Let's not mess it up too much. I'm going to bring my card over, but before I put that, I'm going to go ahead and stamp the middle, which is going to say, hope you're feeling better. And again, your hands get ink all over, so be careful what you touch. But again, you have this sanding eraser, and that helps a little bit. Oops. Hopefully it'll be nice and dark. Looks good. I'm happy with it. Not too bad. Okay, and like you gotta be careful with your hands. It really gets on everything. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and place this here. And that looks good there. I got these cute little brads, and I think I would like to put 2 hearts, 2 red ones. If I have 2 red ones, yes I do. 2 cute little red ones. Okay. What I'm going to do is I want to go ahead and put a little bit of adhesive behind the lettering so that way it doesn't move. So it'll stay where I want it. Now that I have it there, I'm going to go ahead and put my brads. This is packaging, so save your packaging because it's really good for a pin cushion. That looks as where I want this to be. Just going to put a little bit of adhesive on there so it'll stay put. Little adhesive on here so stay put. Then I'm going to go ahead and insert my brad. And there. Hope you feel better and get well wishes. So there's my card. So I hope you like this video and thank you for watching. Bye now.